Hello my darlings and welcome to today's video. So I thought, I've never done this before, that I would do my most anticipated reads for 2026. So books that are getting released in 2026 that I think could be 5-star predictions. So essentially I'm just going to be giving you a little mini synopsis of the books that most intrigue me in 2026. So yes, there are 26 of them. Before I tell you about the books, obviously the two that I'm most frothing at the mouth for is the next installment of Matt Dinniman's Dungeon Crawler Carl series. So this is book 8, and I think it's going to be called A Parade of Horribles. There's no synopsis, there is no cover as of yet, but obviously very highly anticipated. Also, Freren 15 by Kanehito Yamada, so it needs to be translated into English, and that's happening next year. So those two are probably the books I'm the most eager for, but I'm giving you 26 other books today. So let's go. So we've got The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is a contemporary romance author that I tend to give 5 stars to. I don't read a lot of contemporary romance, but yes, she's one of my favorite authors, so I will always read whatever she writes. Bluebell. Larissa's life has finally found a rhythm. Co-parenting a quirky rescue Yorkie with Chris, enjoying shared hobbies, and feeling a rare sense of ease amid her busy life. But a long ago choice, the man she chose to ride home with after a concert, casts a quiet shadow over her happiness. Chris, her boyfriend's best friend, has secretly loved her for months, struggling with the tension between his desire for her and the loyalty that keeps him on the sidelines. So I'm not entirely sure I love this one based on the premise. I find it very icky if there's a romance book that has characters that are in other relationships at the time. So we'll see how that goes. I'll still read it, but this might be the first time I don't give her a 5 stars. Is This a Cry for Help by Emily Austen. Darcy, a librarian with a peaceful life and a loving wife, is thrown into emotional turmoil when her ex-boyfriend dies, triggering a breakdown and time away from work. When she returns, she finds her library at the center of community conflict over book bans and DEI programming. As she navigates grief, guilt, and growing tensions around her, Darcy slowly rebuilds her sense of self with the support of her community, colleagues, and the woman she loves. I used to be a librarian, and therefore I generally will pick up any book that features librarians. The Exquisite Torment of Loving Your Enemy by Brigitte Knightley. So this is a sequel to The Very Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, which I found hilarious and enchanting, so I am anticipating the sequel. Osric, a lethal assassin of the Fire and Order, and Oriane, a healer devoted to harming none, exist on opposite sides of a clear moral divide, until forbidden attraction begins to blur the lines. Their secret encounters grow closer, each healing session pulling them toward feelings neither can admit. When a deadly plague spreads across the kingdoms, possibly the work of a far more dangerous order, Osric and Oriane are forced to confront threats far beyond their personal conflict. As love and loyalty clash with duty and danger, every choice becomes a risk, and the boundary between enemy and lover grows thin. Then we have A Good Person by Kirsten King. Lillian is determined to turn her casual fling with Henry into something more. But when he abruptly breaks up with her, she performs a drunken hex to make him regret it. She expects petty consequences, but instead, Henry ends up dead. Suddenly, Lillian finds herself at the center of a murder investigation, grappling not only with suspicion, but also the shocking revelation that Henry had been hiding a long-term girlfriend. Desperate to clear her name and control the narrative, she dives into a chaotic, dangerous pursuit of the truth. Then we have The Fox and the Devil by Kirsten White. Look, I've tried a few Kirsten White books. I've never really loved them, so this is sort of a final shot to see if this author is for me or not, and it is The Fox and the Devil. Anneke van Helsing's life is shattered when she returns home to find her father, vampire hunter, scientist, and madman, murdered, with only a mesmerizingly beautiful woman left at the scene. Haunted by dreams and nightmares of the sexy killer, Anneke forms a team to track the elusive murderess across Europe, determined to avenge her father and stop the trail of deaths. But as Aniki unravels the mystery, she discovers that the killer, known only through cryptic blood-stained letters signed Diavola, shares a dangerous mutual obsession with her. What begins as a hunt for vengeance becomes a darkly seductive entanglement, revealing that Diavola may be far more than a serial killer, and that the undead heart she uncovers beats solely for her. So we've got some sapphic monster and monster hunter romance there. Then I've got For Human Use by Sarah G. Pierce. In a world where real human connection has collapsed, a wildly controversial dating app called Live becomes a global obsession because it matches users with preserved corpses instead of living partners. As millions embrace this macabre new form of intimacy, venture capitalist Tom Williamson, whose firm bankrolls the app, is horrified by Liv's success and increasingly alarmed by its creator, the smug and ruthless Auden White. When Tom crosses paths with Mara Reid, Auden's former confidant and the only person who truly understands the app's origins, he begins to uncover just how dangerous Liv's rise may be. As demand for cadavers skyrockets and moral boundaries evaporate, Tom, Mara and Auden find themselves hurtling towards a crisis that blurs the line between love, exploitation and horror. Sounds a bit fucked up, but I'm intrigued. Then we have George Falls Through Time by Ryan Collett. Newly laid off and overwhelmed by everyday disasters, George suffers a stress-induced break that flings him from modern London into the year 1300. Waking in the same Greenwich landscape, stripped of technology, comfort and familiarity, he's quickly imprisoned by locals who see him as an oddity. With the help of a servant named Simon, George begins to navigate the harsh rhythms of medieval life and discovers a strange sense of clarity in its simplicity. But when the king takes an interest in him, George is pulled into dangerous court politics that threaten whatever stability he's found. George Falls Through Time blends time travel adventure with introspective literary fiction, charting George's struggle to reconcile who he was, who he is becoming, and what it means to belong across eras. I do enjoy some time travel sci-fi as long as it doesn't give me a headache with the time travel mathematics. Then we have Honeysuckle by Bar Friedman Tell. Hello, Blueber. On the edge of meadow and forest, lonely Rory finds a friend in Day, a girl woven from flowers and words by his older sister. But Day is not like other children. She's short-lived, falling apart at the end of each season unless carefully rewoven. As friendship deepens into something more, Rory becomes obsessed with preserving Day's life, pushing the boundaries of magic and science to defy her natural cycle. Yet, with every intervention, Day begins to question how much control she truly has over her own existence. Then we have Clara and the Devil by Olivia Blake and Little Kimura. I think this is a graphic novel. Clara's life is carefully planned. College graduation, a steady job at the local library, a devoted boyfriend, and a small-town future. But when a mysterious, alluring stranger, who openly claims to be the devil, arrives, her orderly world begins to unravel. As he flirts with Clara, tempts her with ambition, power, and desire, and entangles her best friend Jonah in a complicated dynamic, Clara is forced to confront the secret longings she's never acknowledged. This sounds messy and delicious. We then have The Forest on the Edge of Time by Jasmine Kirkbride. Echo and Hazel are recruited by the secretive Project Kairos to alter history and prevent a future ecological collapse, but the mission fractures them across time. Echo wakes in ancient Athens, assisting a healer amid political danger and philosophical upheaval, while Hazel finds herself in the far future as the last living human on a poisoned island, her only companions an AI she can't trust and swarms of tiny robots. Both women suffer from amnesia. Yet when they sleep, their minds meet in a shared dream space where they begin piecing together who they are, why they were chosen, and how their timelines connect. As they uncover unsettling truths about their past and Project Kairos' motives, they realize their memories may be the key, not just to saving humanity, but to surviving their mission at all. We then have The Caretaker by Marcus Klewa. I don't like a lot of thrillers, but I'm interested to see what else this author writes after having read We Used to Live Here. Down on her luck, college graduate Macy Mullins answers a Craigslist ad for a caregiving position, desperate for income to cover rent and support her sister. The job seems straightforward at first, until she realizes that caring for the elderly husband comes with consequences far beyond the ordinary. As eerie warnings and inexplicable phenomena escalate, Macy discovers her new role is entangled with dark rituals and stakes that could affect far more than just one household. We then have Spoiled Milk by Avery Curran. I love the cover for this. In 1928, Emily Locke's final year at the isolated Brierley School for Girls is shattered when Violet, the brilliant and magnetic student Emily secretly adores, dies on her 18th birthday. Convinced her death was no accident, Emily and her rival Evelyn turn to spiritualism, and to their shock, Violet's spirit appears, choosing Evelyn as her medium to deliver a chilling warning. The true danger has only just begun. Soon, a deadly corruption spreads through the school, beginning with spoiled food and curdled milk, escalating into a life-threatening mystery. As students fight to survive, Emily must navigate betrayal, hidden secrets, and supernatural forces, ultimately confronting what Brierley and Violet truly demand of her. Sounds sci-fi as well. Aubrey Wants to Die by Pip Knight. Aubrey is a vampire who has spent 150 years desperate to die, having failed at every method imaginable. Alone and abandoned by her maker, she has resigned herself to eternal misery until she meets Jonathan, her soulmate and the first person who gives her hope that immortality might be bearable. When Jonathan suddenly leaves her, Aubrey will do anything to get him back. But her plans are complicated when Oscar, the aristocratic vampire who created her, returns with his own dangerous designs. Thrust into a glittering, blood-soaked world of hedonism and intrigue, Aubrey must navigate desire, obsession, and the cost of immortality. This feels like it might have a bit of humor to it, so I am interested to see how it ends up playing out. Then we have Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinnerman. Oliver Lewis wants nothing more than to run his family's ranch on the colony world of New Sonora, keep their aging farm bats working, and play the occasional gig with his band. But when long-awaited communication with Earth is finally restored, the settlers learn they haven't been forgotten. They've been targeted. Earth's apex corporation has launched an eviction action, turning the invasion into a lucrative game where players on Earth design and remotely pilot lethal war machines against real colonists. As Operation Bounce House unleashes swarms of gamer-controlled mechs across New Sonora, Oliver and his friends must defend their planet with whatever scraps they can salvage, and an old manual left behind by his grandfather. Outmatched but determined, Oliver becomes an unlikely leader in a fight to protect the only home he's ever had. We'll see if it's RPG or not. I wonder if it'll have the game elements in it like Dungeon Crawler Carl does. She Made Herself a Monster by Anna Kovatcheva. In 19th century Bulgaria, Yana survives by traveling from village to village as a self-styled vampire slayer, staging fake hauntings and performing dramatic exorcisms to give desperate people someone to blame and something to believe in. When she arrives in the blighted village of Koprivici, she meets Anka, an orphan girl unjustly blamed for the town's misfortunes and trapped under the control of the village captain. Seeing Anka's fear and fury, Yana takes her under her wing, and together they devise a scheme to invent a monster terrifying enough to distract the village and give Anka a chance at escape. But the story they create twists into something far darker than either intended, forcing them to confront both the real danger surrounding them and the monsters they've made, within the town, and within themselves. So I don't know if this will end up being paranormal or not. I actually didn't check the genre for this one. We'll see if it is. Cruelty Free by Carolyn Glenn. 10 years after her infant daughter Josie was kidnapped and presumed dead, former movie star Lila Devlin returns to LA determined to rebuild her life with a new skincare brand meant to honor her child's memory. But when a predatory blogger tries to exploit her and ends up dead, Lila discovers that revenge feels far more powerful and far more intoxicating than forgiveness ever did. With her fiercely loyal publicist Sylvie at her side, Lila embarks on a bloody campaign against the people who wronged her, using their bodies to give her rising beauty line its secret edge. As the brand becomes a sensation and the trail of corpses grows, Lila edges closer to the truth about her daughter's disappearance. even as her violent resurgence threatens to destroy the future she's trying to reclaim. Look, I love a vengeful mother. I also have read many beauty care thrillers, so I'm always eager to test new ones out. Just Watch Me by Leor Torenberg. Dell Danvers is barely scraping by. Broke, sick with stress, and terrified as her younger sister lies in a coma the hospital may soon give up on. Desperate to raise money for Daisy's life support, Dell launches a non-stop 7-day live stream where her abrasive humor, chaotic charm, and unexpected talent for eating increasingly extreme peppers quickly draw an audience. But as her online fame spikes and a mysterious troll threatens to expose the secrets she's tried to outrun, Dell is forced to confront the parts of her life she can't perform her way through. Told over the 7 days of the stream, Just Watch Me follows her volatile, vulnerable attempt to save her sister and herself, while questioning what it means to be witnessed, forgiven, and truly seen. I wonder if it'll end up being dark or not. And then we've got a nonfic, Nightmare Obscura by Michelle Carr. In Nightmare Obscura, sleep researcher Michelle Carr explores the science of dreaming, revealing why nightmares occur, what makes some people more prone to them, and how our brains and bodies interact during sleep. Drawing on the latest neuroscience, she explains how understanding and harnessing dreams, whether through lucid dreaming, dream engineering, or other techniques, can improve mental health, sleep quality, and overall well-being. I'm reading it because I am a vivid dreamer. I also have very violent, intense dreams. I don't really dream mundane things. It's always very fantastical and full on, and I'll have multiple dreams a night and I remember them all. And sometimes I'm able to lucid dream, or quite frequently actually I can lucid dream, especially during the violent ones. I'm able to realize that I'm dreaming and wake myself up, thank goodness. But I'm interested to know why I dream the way I do and the purpose of it and yada yada. We then have 200 Monas by Jan Sayens. College senior Avi Keening is ready to graduate and start her big pharma internship, but her plans are derailed when she discovers 200 mysterious pills in her recently deceased mother's closet. Mama. When two dangerous dealers reveal the pills aren't Molly, but Mona, a rare pharmaceutical that induces intense orgasms. Mama. And demand she sell them in 48 hours or face deadly consequences, Avi has no choice but to act fast. Teaming up with the infuriatingly charming local dealer Wolf, Avi races through her college town, encountering horny co-eds, lonely barflies, and a scheming sorority, all while confronting the grief she's been repressing since her mother's death. So normally I don't read a lot of drug stuff, but this sounds like a romp. This sounds like it's going to be fun and wild. The Fountain by Casey Sieska. I will make sure I look up these authors' names when I actually read these books. Vera van Valkenburg has been 26 for 188 years, healing from any wound and living through unending, unnoticed days. Returning to the Catskills, the place where her family's immortality began, she hopes to uncover the secret that could finally free her from eternity. Posing as a forest ranger, Vera navigates a town disrupted by a mysterious company buying up property, while the arrival of her immortal brother and a strangely familiar woman complicates her quest. Racing against time and circumstance, Vera must confront the meaning of life, the weight of history, and the possibility of release. We then have Accumulation by Amy Pokwatka. Tennessee Cherish, a former documentary filmmaker turned stay-at-home mum, moves into her dream house, hoping for a fresh start. But as her husband works long hours and her children act increasingly strange, Ten begins to notice unsettling occurrences. A faucet that runs on its own, a doll that appears in every room, and a human tooth hidden in the floorboards. As the eerie events escalate and daily routines spiral into dangerous loops, Ten must uncover whether the house, or herself, is truly haunted before it destroys her family. To be honest, there weren't a lot of horror books that I could find coming out that I was interested in, but that was one. Everyday Enchantments by Caitlin Rozakis. Morgan Blackwater is a junior sales witch stuck at a chaotic tech startup, struggling with magic dyslexia and an inability to kick ass like her world-saving, demon-slaying mum. One late night, she discovers her boss dead after summoning a demon to meet quarterly targets, and the demon, Luke, is stuck in the office until someone trades their soul. Trying to help Luke escape, Morgan crosses paths with her infamous mother and gets dragged into the infernal plane, where hell turns out to be a literal corporate nightmare. Now she must navigate devilish pacts, office politics, and moral dilemmas, all while figuring out how to survive both hell and her mother's expectations. I am predicting I will enjoy this. I did read Dreadful by Caitlin, and I thought that was pretty fun. So yeah, corporate hellscape, literally, sounds like a blast. High Energy, Unpleasant by Fern Brady. So Fern is a comedian. I read her nonfiction sort of memoir and I thought it was fantastic, so I'm excited to see her debut fiction. Mary suffers from an unnamed illness that doctors ignore while becoming increasingly obsessed with a mysterious locked room in her house. Determined to reclaim control over her life, she resolves to leave her home, leave her husband, and take psilocybin, steps that push her toward liberation and self-discovery. This sounds fucking fantastic, to be honest. I can't wait for that one. The Sofa by Sam Munson. When Mr. Montessori returns from a beach trip, his family's sofa has inexplicably changed. Antique, green and yellow, and faintly damp. What begins as a domestic oddity soon spirals into a nightmarish puzzle. Strange sounds, a rogue toilet, fleeting visions in mirrors, and a neighbour's cryptic sighting. As Montessori investigates, he is drawn through decayed hideaways, bizarre supply shops, and an eerie forest where time and space distort, all while his family's safety and his marriage unravels. This seems like it's going to be a weird book, which I'm here for. Then we have Agnes Orbert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. I have loved some Heather Fawcett's, especially her middle grade. I thought Emily Wilde was decent, but this is about cats, bro. In 1920s Montreal, Agnes Aubert runs a meticulously organized cat rescue until her new landlord uses the shelter as a front for a chaotic magical shop run by the charming self-absorbed wizard Havelock Renard. When an enemy from Havelock's past threatens both the shop and the shelter, Agnes must navigate magical intrigue, unlikely alliances, and her growing feelings for a man with dark history. So I wonder how cozy it will be. If it's too cozy, it probably won't be for me, but if it's not, I think I'll enjoy it. Although I don't love 1920s as an era in books. And then the final book that I think I'm going to enjoy, this is Raptorum by Sibley Kay. 6 years after a failed assassination attempt, young witch Strix has become the living heir of Eric Mordiger, the feared Black Moor who rules a city torn from Solarium. With ruthless raptors enforcing order and a fragile treaty with the Empire, Mordiger's power is threatened by the return of Shrike, an exile determined to see him fall. At the center of the brewing conflict, Strix must navigate vengeance, revolution, and the deadly cost of magic, all while discovering that love and loyalty can turn monsters of them all. So those are some of the books that I managed to find that are being published in 2026. Let me know down below which one of those sounds the most intriguing to you. I will check in at the end of 2026 to see, 1, how many of these I actually read, and 2, what I rated them. It's very hard for me to predict 5 stars, to be completely frank with you. I can't even figure it out myself what I'm going to enjoy, but this is a decent shot at it. So let me know down below too if you have an anticipated read that wasn't on this list, what it is. And until next time, stay well, Star Child.